The hype surrounding the show before it began airing was insane, because there were lots of big names in the production team. Ooh, look who sings, look who is voice acting, look who directs. I didn't care about any of that, since I am watching a show for the actual show, not if my favorite pop idol is voice acting. Also, the whole thing looked so dull in the promotional videos, like none of the characters was giving a damn. And turns out I was right, as I always am. The first episode tells you right away that this show is not about good characters or a crafty exploration of its setting. It's all about a spectacle, drowning in cynicism and trademark of Uro Butcher's writing. It doesn't have a drop of humanity in it, and is all about treating people as robots and things as a canvas for illogical stuff to happen just because they sound cool. And boy did it work, since your average anime fan was building temples in the name of the show. For the moment he sees big explosions and big names in the production team, he loses his shit and writes 50 pages of pretentious overthinking essays. All of which are for naught, since other than fancy visuals, there is zero effort placed in the making of this series. Take the history of the world, for example. It is nothing but one big mess of random ideas next to which even Code Geass is more logical. For some reason, some people got their hands on alien technology on Mars, and in less than 2 generations they now think they are a different species to the rest of humanity. Which of course is unjustified, since they have the same genes and only use different technology. This is why the space Nazi excuse we see in other shows like Gundam or Space Battleship Yamato does not count here. The Aldnoah thingy, which gives them control over super technology, is not gene related. It can be given to anyone with a simple kiss. So this whole fuss they made about many of the Martians being in orbital stations around Earth for 20 years with the claim they were stranded away from their homeland on Mars is pure bullshit. Nobody thought about telling these people how most of their first-degree relatives are on the planet below them. Not all of them are on Mars, and they are not aliens. Anyways, the backdrop history is not the only thing that is off here. There is also a ridiculous amount of death and mass extermination going in it, which obliterates all forms of characterization, since all you will be noticing is people dying 10 seconds after you meet them. You can count numerous scenes where they introduce a soldier, they use him to throw in a fortune cookie proverb, and proceed to killing him on the spot. And it's not like Gundam shows weren't full of genocides and multiple character deaths, but they were never focused that much on such things. Aldnoah, on the other hand, is all about being a big spectacle, focused on the excitement of mass destruction and people getting incinerated, while cool music is heard playing in the background. It is not even going for shock, since the music makes the whole thing feel cool, and it's not tragic or sad. You never knew all these people, and you are only meant to think, whoa, so many die in this show, it is dark and serious. Too bad that what you actually get is cartoony evil space people who exterminate billions of innocent civilians because they see them as insects. So mature indeed. I guess none of the tens of thousands who were hyping this bullshit knew that well-written characters are those you get to like regardless of their actions or beliefs. Johan in Monster, for example, is a very cool character despite being a mass murderer. The villains of this show, on the other hand, are the ones you would encounter in 60s comic books.
Roar, tremble before my divine presence, you scum! I pity how you will die without even being able to defend yourselves. Get wiped out by my godly hand as I end your meaningless existence.
The joke doesn't stop there. They are written to be so cartoonishly evil that they included the classic backstabbing fuss. They kill their own people and blame it on the Earth people as an excuse to kill them all. Such lovely characters, very easy to identify and cheer for. And despite all that superiority and malice, they are still manipulated like total tools, falling for the weakest propaganda tricks imaginable, such as starting a war to avenge the death of their princess. But then they say the princess is alive and well. And yet they keep fighting, this time to avenge Earth because one of the Martians tried to kill her. And even when they fight for that reason, she is not even the real princess, she is an imposter. They will believe anything no matter how dumb it is, which makes them too pathetic to care about. There are a few cases when some of them try to question what if they are doing is right, which is a genuine opportunity to become actual people instead of drones. But in just 5 minutes they either get assassinated or get convinced that the extermination of Earth is a lovely thing to do. Such as the Emperor of the evil space people, who was hell-bent on stopping the war if no proof of the Earth people's ill intentions were found, and yet as soon as one of his trusted followers reassures him that his granddaughter, the person he cared a lot for, is alive and well, he ignores him and allows the extermination to keep going as if he never trusted him for a decade or loved his granddaughter for twice as much. This keeps happening several times in the show and proves how ill-conceived bad guys they are. The only thing missing is holding huge signs with the words, "You must hate us," on them. As for the good guys, the poor innocent Earth people, there is very little to care about them other than being the victims of an evil plot. The show never focuses much on them, and they have no brains to make the audience like them for not being tools as well. Despite all young people of Earth having received military training, their tactics in warfare are limited to the amazing strategy of standing still and shooting at the enemy, which, because of the technological gap between the two sides, has the same effect as throwing pebbles at a tank. And if you think they learn from it, nope, they keep using the exact same strategy in every single episode, which leads to their predictable, unworthy deaths. But it's okay, since they are dying for the sake of making the hero of the story to look cool. He's more capable than all combined military forces of Earth because he has a superpower which allows him to move during battles instead of standing still and waiting to die like everybody else. Yes, this is unthinkable, I know. He is also the only person who can defeat enemy mecha despite their superior technology, because he is the only one amongst the evil space army who has a plan during battle. You see, the villains are busy feeling superior and assuming the super technology is enough to win. Which, by the way, is the only excuse they have for calling themselves superior, because it sure isn't their intelligence or durability. They don't think ahead like the cartoon cutouts they are, and freeze from horror when they realize they can't defeat an Earth guy with simple punches or slashes. This gives more than enough time for our hero to use his ultimate winning strategy of throwing the mecha in the water. Yes, that is all it takes to defeat these city-leveling monstrosities. You throw them in the water and they deactivate faster than the Wicked Witch of the West. Later on he uses other types of strategies to win, and they are equally simple stuff only he amongst all of humanity can think of. Well, I guess that makes him a wonderful fellow and the only one who actually has personality in this show, right? Hell no! He doesn't have a personality because he doesn't have emotions. This trait is even on the name of the anime. Aldnoah 0, fucks given. I tell you, it's a miracle if the only moving and thinking character in this whole show loses his temper and lets a tiny smirk to escape his permanently frozen to uncaring facial expression. And although they keep trying to fool you into thinking he actually cares about people, even if he doesn't show it, that quickly ends up being a troll. He will say he wants to avenge the death of one of his friends on one episode. With the same interest, he asks for his pajamas to be ready when he returns from battle in another. And let's not overlook how he thinks of a plan to defeat the evil robots only after examining their powers. And by examining, I mean sending oblivious Earth soldiers to get brutally killed by the enemy. Lovely guinea pigs you got there, Inaho. Their sacrifice is excused if it serves the glory of your exploits. You can thank Urobucher for making you such a humane and believable character. There are more characters that get a focus in this show besides Inaho the Uncaring, meaning they don't die after 10 seconds, but in the typical Urobucher fashion, they are all plot devices rather than people, such as the princess who is used as an excuse for the war to begin, conveniently surviving an assassination, conveniently meeting Inaho the Smirkless, and conveniently giving him super technology when she accidentally passes near a hidden base. Did you notice how she didn't do any of that because of her personality or goals? Nope, they happened because they serve the plot. She's also a fine example of what happens when a story is depending solely on shock factor instead of good writing. They make it seem like she gets killed a dozen times throughout the story as means to shock the audience, and then pop, she appears alive and well 10 minutes later. It's bad enough if you use such a lazy plot twist once, it's beyond comprehension when you use it a dozen times in a row. There is also Slain, an errant boy the evil space people kick around just to further show us how irredeemably evil and stupid they are. I mean, one of them brainlessly monologues the whole evil master plan to him in a douchey way that yelled, "I deserve to be killed for my stupidity and you to betray us for our satanic acts," followed by him doing so. Notice that he didn't choose to do it, it was forced upon him by the plot. He then proceeds to go help the good guys after magically finding them because the plot said so, and after conveniently saving them in the last second, he is then shot down by Inaho the Zero Fuck Giver and abandoned on the spot because his role in the plot is over for now. The same things apply for the rest of the characters, being plot devices with no humanity in them, doing staged events just so the story can happen in any way the writer wanted. This is why you have the princess getting a pardon by everybody because she is the needed battery of the ship, when 10 minutes earlier everybody hated her kind and wanted her dead. This is why you have Inaho the Heartless showing no emotion and being a master strategist, falling in love with the princess for no reason and doing some really retarded things in the finale of the first season because having emotions like a normal person makes you an idiot. This is why you have Slane, who exists to be kicked around repeatedly by everybody for the sake of drama, doing out-of-character things in the mid-season finale, which leads to the death of the princess. For yet another time. Lovely script there, Urobutcher fags, your god is never doing something wrong. Oh, but wait, he only wrote the first 3 episodes. The rest were written by the guy who made Boku no Pico. This is clearly not a good story. Yeah, and that is why the anime community made 150 topics about how amazing the mid-season finale was and how amazing the second season is going to be thanks to these ingenious plot twists. And it is true that the series was fun for a while by doing lots of crazy shit that were very uncommon in typical mecha stories. Like Martian humans, the moon blowing up, cities being incinerated while cool music is playing, and having the hero not being a typical shonen protagonist, but rather a calculating robot who uses its brains in order to defeat powerful robots. The strategies were ridiculous, like a black hole shield that doesn't absorb air for some reason, flying cameras which nobody can see and get blinded by simple smoke, but were giving off a feeling of intelligence. And by intelligence, I do not include the forced way he explains his strategies to the audience by basically talking to the wall next to him, meaning there is a lot of lazy info dumping going on during pseudo-scientific explanations in the form of breaking the fourth wall. Of course, just like it happened with Code Geass, the tactics soon evaporate and the whole thing becomes brainless robot power-ups and fan service. There is a scene where the princess is killed, again, while she is naked in the bath by another naked girl. Inaho gives her first aid by essentially groping her, and then the naked assassin pops up out of nowhere and starts bitching about the cruelty of life. It was supposed to make you worried and sad, but it doesn't because all you see is one emotionless dude surrounded by naked chicks. Also, what the hell was the assassin doing? Was she hiding for 5 minutes waiting for the princess to come back to life before she pops out instead of running away? There is a prolonged scene where an enemy mecha transforms as if you're watching Power Rangers, and it means nothing in the long run or is even presented as scary. There was also an attempt to have political intrigue and mysteries in the form of 2 different civilizations clashing. But it is impossible to give a damn when the Earth people are useless before Inaho the Peeping Tom. So goes for the villains who are so shallow to the point you don't care what is going on with the story, as you care about the ass-pull Inaho the Mobile will use next time to defeat yet another mecha nobody else in the cosmos has the fit to be able to do that. Despite all these obvious problems, the anime community still failed to see what a piece of crap this show is, evident in the mid-season finale when they made it seem like most major characters got killed. Hundreds of pages were written full of praise and high expectations for what will come up, and the anticipation for the second half was enormous. Of course, I knew it was all a troll, but whoever listened to reason? And what a plot twist! Turns out nobody was dead after all! Again! As I knew all along they weren't. Inaho becomes Kano, gets a cyborg eye that makes him even more hacks in battle, and is otherwise the same uncaring bastard who wins in all battles as he always did. The princess is now a decoration, sleeping in a pod, while another princess that was ass-pulled in the story appears to take her place. Slane out of nowhere becomes a Machiavellian asshole, and with a complete character rewrite, starts backstabbing everyone and keeps the war going by becoming a super elite pilot for no given reason. The Earth military magically learns how to shoot straight and can now kill a few Martians towards the end, again for no given reason. And lots of other shit happen, which are never explained or resolved. What blew up the moon? What about the origin of the alien technology? What about that guy who had post-traumatic stress disorder? Screw them! Turns out they were nothing but fillers. Since if you strip away the robot of the week battles that are always ending with Inaho the Jesus figure using an ass pull, the actual plot fills only a few episodes. Down to it if you want to watch a somewhat well-animated mecha show, even if the CGI is subpar and there is very little animation in battles if Inaho is not fighting, regarding one-dimensional villains and emotionless plot devices blowing up stuff for the most unrealistic reasons imaginable, go ahead and watch this show. If on the other hand you want to watch a mecha show with worthy villains, charismatic heroes, and noble causes such as fighting for a better future, then watch Gunbuster or 8th MS Team, and stay away from Aldnoah 0. There isn't a speck of reason or emotion in it. It has as much humane warmth as the extent of the facial expressions the main character shows when his pajamas are not ready upon returning triumphant from a battle where he was running around and pushing robots in the water. Also, eggs are in discount! Got to buy those! The only thing left to break apart are its two highlights. The first one are the initial episodes where it was all a flashy spectacle of stuff blowing up and characters we don't know or care about dying. I have nothing to add to that. I made several topics regarding shock effect, pulling the rug under your feet, anticipation schlock and the like. The rest of the show didn't create any real sensation up until the last episode happened. Boy, that finale made most in the community to lose it, either because it was unexpected or because it made no sense. Or as I prefer to see it, both of that. But it was all intended. The creators wanted the community to be taken by surprise and to not stop talking about it, so the interest will not die out by the time the second season begins.
You're telling me that I'm gonna have to fucking wait until January. Why the fuck would you do that to me? That is the worst fucking cliffhanger of all time.
So, following the tradition of overhyped shows with terrible writing and undeserved hype, many attempted to reason what exactly happened in that final episode. AKA, throwing around self-given explanations to everything, which are of course made up and have nothing to do with what the creators of the show think or want. This is why if you search Reddit, you will find dozens of topics made in just 3 days regarding the last episode alone. This is insane. People are once again overthinking everything, and instead of admitting the whole thing was badly written, they made a clusterfuck of pretentiousness once again. Because it's an Urobuchi show, there just has to be a secret meaning and everything just has to make sense. Let's go over some posts where people are pulling stuff out of their ass and how a mature person like myself replied to them. This guy tries to excuse the bullshit the two main characters did in the last episode. Slain shouldn't be hated because he helped the bad guy out of honor and respect. And that is exactly why he deserves to be hated by everyone. He placed honor over doing the right thing. And Inaho did that bullshit suicide move with pointing the gun because he wanted to go down fighting. Yeah, it's not like he couldn't have thought of some smart thing to overcome impossible situations as he did in the rest of the show. Oh, but wait, he wasn't thinking straight. The love of his life just died for the 3rd time in 12 episodes. Didn't you know that love is making you do stupid things? Having no emotions is perfection. What a great social message. Machines are so much better than people. But wait, he's not supposed to have emotions. Why is he in love? This guy asks why the princess and Inaho are in love for some reason. I tell him because they are plot devices, just like all characters written by Urobuchi. They do stuff because plot, not because they make sense. This guy tries to excuse the love thing. It makes sense for the princess to love him because he's the only worthy male in the show, aka another Jesus figure like Kirito or Tatsuya, where all the girls love them for being OP. But Inaho? It just happened. Sure, that totally makes sense. And it definitely wasn't done for the sake of drama or something trivial like that. This guy excuses the bullshit Slain did because this way we get to hate him, exactly as we should with all villains in any show. Which of course is bullshit, because well-written villains gain the respect of the audience regardless of their actions. All the bad guys in this show are shallow and cartoony to the point you're not hating them but rather laughing at them. This guy tries to excuse Slane's action with more bullshit reasoning. He wanted to kill Inaho and save the villain because this way he increases his chances to survive the battle. A battle which he chose to be part of so he can save the princess. And who was the guy who wanted to kill the princess? Exactly. He also wanted to prove to everyone that he is not a traitor to the Martians, since he is aiding them in battle. And that totally does not make him an accomplice to the conspirator who caused all this war by deceiving the Martians. and apparently he also wanted to take revenge against Inaho while he was not attacking him and was about to defeat the villain and end the war, thus saving the princess. Oh, but wait, maybe he didn't know the princess was there. That is why he was in a battle to save a person that doesn't exist, right? And that is why he instead saves the villain who kidnapped him, killed everyone who wants to stop the war, brainwashed the very emperor to consider him a traitor, wants to wipe out humanity for personal gain, and wants to kill the princess he loves. And what a better way to achieve all that, if not by attacking the guy who was about to stop the source of all these problems. Oh, and of course, I didn't even bother to mention the usual excuse everybody uses all the time in such cases. He's a teenager, he was confused, he makes mistakes, he's not a robot. This guy mentions what are the possible things that can happen in the second season, and they all suck. It's funny how there is so much hype around what will happen next, when there is no way to continue the story without feeling ridiculous. And then there are some things where you just can't reply because they are so fucking stupid. Such as this guy who claims that the mecha called Tharsis is a metaphor and derives from the Greek word catharsis, because Slay is using it, so the whole show is about his retribution. No. So as you can see, all this digital ink was once again wasted on something so obvious. Aldnoah Zero is a popcorn show with terrible writing which makes people lose their shit for not making any sense, and then proceeds by making them pretentious pseudo-intellectuals who feel the need to defend yet another masterpiece made by Urobucher. Disregard the fact that it was all the Boku no Pico guy's fault. But hey, at least all this bullshit served its purpose.
Are you hyped up as much as I am for Aldnoah Zero Season 2?
Fuck no!